The most famous historical precedent of private human exploration is the story of the Italian entrepreneur and explorer Christopher Columbus. Columbus was not interested in scientific study, but in the spice trade. But there have been many others. Indeed, the vast majority of significant milestones of human exploration have been private commercial ventures working for individuals and government profits. By the way, if we're lucky, the helium-3 trade will interest corporations to develop affordable transport to the moon, and tourism can follow that. However, that is unlikely since green energy is developing so quickly. One might say that the exploration of Mars cannot be compared with the exploration of the surface of the Earth. However, the standard of living and relative wealth of humans has been going up at a steady rate as well. The first private exploration of Columbus in 1492 with just 3 ships and 90 sailors is precisely estimated to have cost 1,766 maravedis, a huge amount in today's money. The second expedition with 17 ships and 1,200 people should have cost over 10 million maravedis. At that rate, amazing amounts, but still entirely and immediately profitable for the individual Christopher Columbus and in the longer term, the government of Spain. Have any of you heard about Admiral Byrd? He was an explorer of the polar regions and set very interesting precedents in human space exploration in much more recent history than Columbus. The Admiral was born in 1888, graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1912, and stayed in the Navy until 1927. He learned to fly in the Great War and did a lot of pioneering work in aviation. Tried to fly to the North Pole in 1926 and attempted to win the Orteig Prize for the first non-stop flight from USA to France in 1927. By the way, if you haven't noticed yet, very successful prizes in 20th century history, like the Orteig Prize, are excellent historical precedents for today's SpaceX prizes. Byrd has his attempts at exploration financed by private business as well, such as a department store magnate who was looking for and found a very good advertising subject, even better than a national race car champion or prime Olympic athlete. In 1928, Byrd started his first private expedition to the South Pole. Expedition 1 included 2 large ships and 3 aircraft and set up a base called Little America. The story of the base camp and the explorations were in the news for the whole duration of the expedition. The funding sponsors were always mentioned to their noticeable benefit. The first expedition not only made a substantial contribution to humankind's knowledge of the world, but it made a very substantive income for all of the explorers involved. Also, a significant turnover was made, indirectly, for the expedition sponsors who gained priceless publicity about their goods and services. There were 4 more expeditions to Antarctica carried out by Byrd and his commercial explorers. It is notable that the United States government was not involved in funding until the 3rd expedition. His second massive expedition was able to find totally adequate backing from private corporations and individuals during 1933, that is the height of the Great Depression. This fact is a testament to how good the sponsors knew private human exploration was for advertising from the experience of the first expedition. Finding private financial sponsorship is also a testament to just how valuable publicity from any kind of a thrilling expedition to space would be to commercial interests. Admittedly, even a massive manned expedition to the continent of Antarctica is less effort compared to a present-day manned or substantial robotic mission to the Red Planet. However, the increasing wealth of the world is far greater today as well, and the cost of taking the huge first step to low Earth orbit is going to be going down substantially with the upcoming privatization of orbital launcher programs. Media is more universal and prevalent in the 21st century than in the 1920s, and the sponsorship of private space exploration of any kind could be incredibly entertaining and exciting to the general public worldwide in this information age. Imagine sponsors such as Aldi and Dell getting through about every time the latest chapter in the story of a commercial robotic exploration mission was mentioned in the media. Immense amounts of good publicity. There could be a website for the mission that would charge an entry fee, which would allow the paying visitors to watch the mission live in some of the more exciting phases. The Mars missions could be like a long-running, extremely popular television series that has millions of viewers for every episode. The real Star Trek. Give the computer program running the mission a name and character and all. With the success of the first expedition by a private exploration organization, sponsorship would be guaranteed for future missions and even programs. Someone just needs to take the first successful step into the industry of affordable, private, and profitable interplanetary exploration and set a precedent that corporations looking for sponsors will never forget. Success is absolutely vital for the first few missions, though. If the commercial exploration industry fails in producing the whole mission, then it will be very hard to find sponsors. This huge incentive to have successful missions might improve the reliability of interplanetary space missions in general, though. The Mars Society, with its sterling reputation for enthusiasm and dedicated management, should be involved directly in these kind of missions in the same way that I've mentioned earlier. If the Mars Society decided to try to find massive public sponsorship, not just for the goal of getting humankind to Mars ASAP, but actually going to achieve the goal by itself, giving up on frustrating lobbying of fickle politicians and finishing the job privately, the Mars Society would be successful. It has the drive and the dedicated management that could take on the challenge. It will take a vast amount of smart management and growth of the Mars Society, but it is entirely possible if the goal was made to carry out this kind of mission. It will take a huge amount of dedication for years, but if there's one thing I know for certain, the Mars Society has no shortage of dedication and fervent long-term followers. Some might say that such a goal would be ridiculous and impossible, but exploration for direct and indirect financial profit is how humankind has explored the Earth since the dawn of civilization. Governmental agencies have already paved the way very well, but are now becoming to appear relatively inefficient in their ability to get funding since there is no Cold War space race. Private businesses are by their very nature more efficient about how they consume the resources than government ministries, and safety and quality does not need to be sacrificed with proper governmental regulation of the private exploration industry. Admiral Byrd was able to do his expeditions during the Great Depression almost single-handed, and Admiral Byrd, I think, might have a similar character to Robert Zubrin in many ways. Humans should not overestimate their abilities due to arrogance or ignorance. But it is just as much of a tragedy often for human beings to underestimate their abilities. And the potential of humankind is always incredible. The Mars Society has the power in it to do far more than it is doing to get humans to Mars.